Hello, welcome back to this week's episode. I feel that this episode is going to be a potent one, definitely going to be a big one for me personally, and I'm sensing that it's going to land and be received in a way that is very permissive and very insightful. So it is currently my 1 year anniversary of when I entered into a really scary, massive year. I, 1 year ago today, made a very scary choice and difficult choice to separate from my partner at the time, to do conscious uncoupling, as well as leave the house that we were living in together, and the job that I had, and the city that I was living in. And this process of being able to step into all of that change was something that took me really 2 years of being able to step into that courage, because I was so scared. I wanted to know that it was 100,000% the right thing to do. I wanted to double, triple, quadruple check that it was the right thing to do. I was trying to intellectualize this feeling that I had, this sense that I needed to step into something bigger that I was not being, or that I was not able to step into. And I wanted to understand why I couldn't step into that in that relationship. I wanted to know what was going on so that I could fix it, so that I could essentially change the outcome. So I literally did everything that I knew and thought of to try to change that outcome, so that that partner and I could stay together, so that we could have kids together, so that I could find a way to be complete in myself, whole and happy as everything was, without having to make all those changes and go through all those changes. And it bought me lots of time, and that time gave me this incredible knowledge and trust in myself that I will dedicate and commit to knowing the truth so deeply. So I am very grateful that I stayed so long in the curiosity and questioning this sense and feeling that I had. I'm very grateful for that trust that I built with myself, that I will commit to the truth. And what I know now is that it can be really scary to trust our senses. We're not very often in a state or atmosphere that supports or is conducive to trusting our senses, to trusting our intuition. So it can be extra scary. And I think what is even scarier is not knowing why something's happening. If you're not in a traditional scenario where it's very obvious that you need to make a change, if you're not in danger, if you're not being threatened, then it might not be as obvious why the change needs to happen. So the unknown, and not knowing why, but just having a sense and a feeling, can be so scary, because our bodies are wired to seek familiarity. Our bodies are wired to seek comfort, because that is primarily and primally what has kept us safe in the past, what has prevented us from being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger because we're not separated from the pack. We're not outcast. We have our primary support systems. So if you're considering changing your primary support systems through work, housing, partnership, changing locations, these are all really scary things because they threaten that part of you that really is just trying to keep you alive. So listening to your heart or listening to your spirit can be really scary. So it takes a lot of work in order to trust that you are not going to die. And essentially, you are experiencing a lot of deaths. You are experiencing a death of the way that things used to be. You're experiencing a death of attachment and connection. And these are just as scary as the physical threats, the threats to your spirit, the threats to your emotions, the threats to your life force and your connection and care are just as scary as the physical threats. As if as if you're being threatened that you can't feed yourself that day or you won't have a place to live. And these things are our core needs. So the way that the body is acting out, it happens in a similar way. So it took every bit of strength to be able to trust that I needed to go. I needed to go. And it's still hard to admit it to this day because it was one of the scariest, hardest things I have ever done. And I am so excited to share with you what I have learned. I'm so excited to share with you what it is like to be on the other side of all of that, in hopes that this gives you permission and security and safety to know information on the other side of really big changes. And with everything that I do, I'm so honored that I get to share it with my community. I get to share it with my clients. So I knew that something was waiting for me, but what I did not know was how painful it was going to be or why it was going to be so painful. So I had experiences throughout this entire last year where I felt like it would be easier. It would be easier to die. And that feels really, really vulnerable to say out loud. It does. It feels honestly quite surreal to speak to. And those days, I actually felt relief when I remembered that I could actually just die and all of this would be over. And it wasn't a desire to be dead. It was just finding solace that all of this pain is not forever and that there is relief. And every single time that I remembered that I could die, I felt this renewed energy and courage that I can keep doing this. I can keep facing this grief. I can keep surviving. I can keep working so hard to care for myself. The amount of trauma and hurt that arose in response to my choice to separate from my ex and leave my house was so massive that I had this deep knowing that this has to be way bigger than this relationship. This has to be way bigger. Something is happening here. And I had no idea all this was going to happen when I made that choice. I just knew I knew I needed to step into something bigger. And I knew that that was how I was going to do it, was to make all these changes. And like I said, like I fought tooth and nail. I was like, no, please, not this. And at the same time was like begging my heart and begging my intuition and my connection with spirit to help me find the biggest love and help me step into my purpose. So as I'm moving through this heartbreak and grief, I just kept feeling the most broken I ever felt in my entire life. And I knew that what I was experiencing was that for the first time in my whole life, I was actually allowing myself to acknowledge and admit the heartbreak that I had been feeling and carrying my entire life. That this pain, this break in my heart, in my existence, in my spirit was something that I actually carried my whole life. And I spent a good chunk of time and energy trying to hide that, trying to admit and acknowledge the broken childhood that I came from without ever really allowing it to be a big deal. So I would acknowledge where I came from and I would laugh at it immediately. I would tell stories of my past and I would immediately say, but it's fine. I'm okay. Look at me. I'm fine. And then I would go home at the end of the night and I would just feel so alone inside. And I would immediately blame myself for feeling alone and would shame myself for not feeling grateful enough and not feeling able to let myself be loved. I never fully allowed myself to acknowledge and admit that I had been feeling broken my whole life, that I had been feeling abandoned my whole life. And this grief and this heartbreak was the first time that I was experiencing this with new wisdom. I have been training for 6 years in the art of somatic healing, in the art of trauma healing. And I had every tool you can imagine to hold myself through this pain and this grief. And what that meant is that I was not going to ignore it. I was not going to allow myself to shut down, which meant feeling every inch of my heart's pain and brokenness. What essentially felt like as if for the very first time, and this choice of uncoupling catalyzed me into finally seeing that 40% of me that I was not able to see, hear, love, and feel while I was in that situation, while I was in that relationship. And again, like it's so hard to admit that because I deeply loved that person. And I know how deeply I was loved. And yet, for whatever reason, I don't even need to know why. For whatever reason, 40% of me was not able to be loved and accepted. So there was this part of me that was outcast all the time, no matter how much healing work I did, no matter how much communication was there. We just weren't able to get to that place together. where all parts of me could be held and loved and healed. And whether that is that I wasn't able to get there or my ex wasn't able to get there, I don't know. And that's okay. And I don't need to know. All I know is that we weren't able to get there together. And the amount of brokenness that I felt after leaving blew my mind. I really, like I said already, and maybe I'll say again, I had no idea the grief that I was going to have to feel in order to fully love and hold myself and fully meet all parts of myself. I had an idea that I would grieve for a month and then I would find some massive breakthrough and revolution on the other side of that and kind of keep going. And or maybe a few months. And what I discovered in that 40% that I was then able to step into. So, imagine all of a sudden being able to touch and meet and know all parts of yourself, the broken parts and the beautiful parts without holding back. So that's what I gave myself. That's what I gave myself this past year. I fully committed and devoted myself to stepping up and showing the fuck up to every single aspect of myself. The parts that I thought were so ugly and so disgusting and so unlovable, the parts of myself that I had been convinced for so long were too much or not enough, the parts of myself that got so much attention and therefore felt hurt because it felt fake, because the other parts of myself were not being given the same attention. I showed up so fully and I sat and I cried and I raged and I had snot dripping down my face, curled up in the fetal position multiple times, feeling so broken, feeling so lost and so scared and so abandoned, and that nobody loved me and that I was better off just leaving and not existing, that would actually be way easier and would give me a chance to finally rest. And I would feel all of these things and I would witness myself feeling them and I would hold myself through them and I would ask all of my guides to come be with me and hold me and show me and teach me the way and help me not give up. And I just kept going. I kept showing to all of my therapy sessions. I kept showing up to all of my friends, allowing them to bear witness to my vulnerability, allowing them to bear witness to all parts of myself. And every single time that I allowed every aspect of myself to take up space, I kept experiencing over and over again that all of these parts of me are allowed to exist and be loved and supported. So how that would look would be my friends just holding me while I cried and told them how broken I felt, or admitted that I wanted that it felt easier to not be alive. And telling my mom that I felt that way, and just having her support me so radically and not even question for a second that was going to happen, like somehow fully trusting me, like everyone had my back because I was so raw and so vulnerable and so honest. And at the same time that I was allowing myself to be seen and heard and loved in my brokenness, I was also allowing myself to fully step in to pleasure and beauty and power. I was balancing every aspect of myself. So as radically as I would show up for the parts of me that felt so fucking broken, and so alone. As radically as I would show up for those parts, I would also radically show up for the part of me that the next day was like ready to go dancing and ready to go play and ready to cuddle and be ridiculous with my friends and my nephews and my family, and I would call my friends and my therapist and I would cry, and then the next day I would launch something incredible in my business. So I was not just stepping into the light. I was not just stepping into the dark. I was doing it both at the same time every single day. And it was madness. It was so painful and so hectic and so beautiful all at the same time. And I had no idea that I was going to get the chance to meet my brokenness on such a deep level in order to finally hold those pieces and say, I hear you, I love you, I am here, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here forever and ever and ever. And it is not easy to radically commit to not leaving any part behind, and to look at myself in the mirror and truly believe that I deserve to be worshipped and loved when I feel disgusting and when I just ate 2 bags of chips and binge watched all 7 seasons of Gilmore Girls, just as much as I deserve to be worshipped and adored when I just went to the gym every single day for a month and went running and I'm like dancing and feeling super sexy, and I just spent 6 hours adorning myself and I just look so good. You know, I had to and chose to tell myself once and for all that both of those parts, all of those parts, are worthy of my love and my devotion and my attention. And I had no idea that that's what was waiting for me when I chose to uncouple and leave and follow my intuition and follow my heart. I definitely had a false idea that I would, that a lot of external changes would happen, when what actually was waiting for me was myself. And I don't, for whatever reason, people really don't like hearing that. I think we've become addicted and attached to external validation and feedback and hits of attention and love, that we have this weird misguided idea that the things that go on internally are less valuable. And here's what I have to say to that after giving my internal landscape so much love and so much attention for an entire year, devoting myself to that part of me, which I've been doing for a really long time, but this year was the most sacred, special year for how much I devoted myself to my heart and its brokenness, and just allowed it to break and allowed it to rebuild. What I can say now from having given myself that is now I get to build externally on the most incredible foundation that I just laid for myself. So all of the ways at which I used to desire, some external change, I now get to choose that. I now get to receive that. I now get to step into that and play on this foundation. It's like I just laid down the most beautiful hardwood floors, and now I get to dance on them. And now I get to go on dates on them. I get to have friends over. I get to I get to work on my business on those floors, on the desk that I'm going to put on those floors, you know? The external stuff now gets to happen and thrive from so much agency and so much choice because of the internal landscape tending that I gave myself. And this is me wanting to share the incredible value in giving yourself proper time to be known so fully and deeply by yourself, and so understood and so received and so loved, and that it is so valuable and worth it to give yourself that time, because from that place, any interrelating, any connections that you build with friends and family and animals and babies and the earth is coming from an even bigger place than before, because there's wholeness that gets to be a part of those connections. The fact that I have given myself this time to fully be known and understood and loved by myself and met in my brokenness and accepted in my brokenness has made me a way better friend, a way better auntie, a way better coach, a way better ally to the earth and my communities that I stand up for. Knowing that pain on the most intimate fucking level has gave me power and strength and resilience that I am so grateful for. And now I get to play and connect and share intimacy in life from a place of feeling secure in myself on a level that is so fucking huge. And I truly, truly, I'm going to say it again, had no idea what I was saying yes to when I felt this sense inside of me that I needed more. I needed to go. I needed to step into something. And what I know now, and it's just going to keep coming from here, you know, like every single moment we're stepping into more of ourselves, right? So what I know now, now that I can look back and connect with that me that was bawling in my living room floor with crippling anxiety next to this person that I loved, and just I could not believe that I was about to do this. I could not believe that I was actually going to do it. That me that really didn't know what I was stepping into, I now get to look back and tell her, like, and we get to have this conversation that kind of is like, there's awe, and I have a good laugh at how I have gotten to accept and love myself in the biggest way possible by choosing to set sail on this grand fucking crazy adventure to follow my spirit and follow my intuition and follow my heart to all sorts of places. I've literally, last year has been the craziest year of my life. It's been the scariest, craziest year of my life, and I am so proud of myself for listening to my intuition, listening to my heart, because I needed to break apart. I needed to stop hiding. I needed to stop masking. I needed to meet the depths of the pain that I was experiencing. You know, it just continues to blow my mind. I remember I had this one day where I just couldn't get out of bed and I felt like I was literally at my own funeral. It was such a powerful feeling, and I sent a text to my mom. I was like, Mom, I need to understand myself. Like, what the fuck happened in my childhood? So I text her because my mom didn't really like to talk about these things, so it was really hard to get a lot of information, even though I knew enough to know that it was bad, but I don't know, I just couldn't accept that that was it for some reason. I just always thought there had to have been something. Somebody must have gone something worse out there. So why am I feeling all this pain? I don't know why. I was so able to convince myself out of feeling valid. So I text my mom on one of these days post breakup. I think it was like 4 months after the breakup. I couldn't get out of bed and I was like, Mom, I need to know, was there more love or more pain in my childhood? And she texted me back and she said, this is a really hard question, but there was more pain than there was love. And, I've had these little moments over and over again this last year where it's just kind of putting all this puzzle piece together that just brings me back home to this place of feeling for the, feeling officially that I am valid. I am fucking valid and I am worthy of my experiences and this other moment where I was like, I have literally lost my brother. My brother died. And this somehow feels fucking scarier and harder. And that just made me feel so icky. It made me feel like shame about that. And that in itself gave me a chance to reclaim shame and love that part of me and just allow my experience as it is without constantly trying to tell it that it's not good enough or that it's, that it doesn't make sense. So I just continuously over and over and over again dedicated myself, committed to myself to not abandoning one single part of myself. And it was scary and it was so painful. And like, I know that it's not over. Like, it's gonna keep going. But what I know now is how to love myself so completely. Ah, and that in my body has given me so much power. You know how many fucks I give these days? Not as, like, way less. You know how much easier it is for me to stay regulated when shit's hitting the fan? Because I've faced the dark night of the soul. I have gone into the cave. I have met my maker. And oh my goodness, I'll tell you, I feel like I'm ready to go all the time these days. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to stand up for my friends. I am ready to protect what needs to be protected. I am ready for big fucking love. And at the same time, absolutely will not say yes to what is less than being met and loved in my wholeness. And I'm totally, absolutely okay with not saying yes to anything that is not me being met in my magic and my essence and beauty, because I'm having the most fun hanging out with myself. I'm like, oh my God, this girl is so awesome. I just get to go and sing to the ocean and talk to the ocean and rage and cry and feel like a broken mess. And there's nobody to tell me that I'm too much or not enough, except for my own brain. And we have a good relationship now. So we figure it out. And the people that are meant for me have been showing up so big. And I want you to know, or honestly, this is even just a celebration for myself, a celebration that I made it and that I said yes to my intuition, that I said yes to my heart and my essence and my spirit and my freedom and the desire to be both loved and secure and free all at the same time. And what I want to say to you is that you you might not always know why you're doing something or why you feel or have a sense in your heart, in your body, that something's off, that something needs to change. And it is really okay to not know the why. And I'm so sick of these very capitalist beliefs and narratives that shame intuition and oppress the feminine inside of every single one of us, that just has a sense that we need to feel something or know something and actualize something, and we're being guided towards that. And yes, we need to balance that with logic and intellect. I love my intellectual side. Oh my goodness, that part of me is fierce. And for anybody who has this sense and this feeling, I want you to know that you are allowed to sense something and know something, especially when it comes to the biggest aspects of your life, whether that's your purpose, your career, your job, your house, your relationship, family, big choices. Your feelings and your senses are valid, and they are guiding you to something that you may not know what it is until you get there, because we cannot intellectualize our way through feelings, through the body's felt senses, or through intuition. Those are only things that can be understood when they're being experienced and felt. The same way you cannot only intellectually understand falling in love or orgasm or getting a massage or being with a woman for the first time. You cannot intellectualize those things in order to fully understand them. You need to have the felt experience to then be able to unlock the deeper knowing in your heart, in your body, of what those experiences are and maybe even the why. I I have realized in the last 2 years how big my romantic and sexual feelings are for women and AFAB beings. And I literally tried to intellectually understand that for so long before I ever allowed myself to be with a woman and be in my queerness fully, fully, fully on all levels for the first time. And that is another great example. Like, the things that I know now that I get to love in me, that came from experience. That came from taking action. We cannot just stay in the awareness. We cannot just stay in the awareness that something needs to change. We have to take action to not get stuck. We have to take action to embody what we're moving towards. And that sometimes, that doesn't mean that you have to leave a relationship or leave a job or leave a house or leave a city, because that change can happen in those experiences that you're having So it doesn't always have to be external action, but action does need to happen in order to fully understand what you're being asked, what your desires are needing, and to fully understand what you're doing in life. All of life is about decisions and awareness and action, stepping into our fullness. Or it can be about getting stuck and staying stagnant, and that's just not for me. It is not for me, and I just don't imagine that it's for you either, because you're in my world, you're in my community. So I just don't think it's for you either. So therefore, there needs to be action, and it doesn't always have to start big. Like, I really, really am so grateful for all the actions that I took in the 2 years leading up to literally embodying the Tower card in the tarot deck. I literally was like, I'm just going to tower everything. Burn, 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 burn it all down. Um, and that was after 2 years of me trying everything else. So I just was like, okay, here we go. Explosion. Literally set everything on fire. And it was so painful and so scary. I was just like, I have no home. Where'd my best friend go? I have nobody to cuddle and hug and tell me, that I'm not alone. And it was very exposing. And I survived and had so much fun along the way amidst all of the pain. And I really did take my time to do that when I was ready and when I felt like I had the strength to do it. So, it doesn't always have to be big changes, but if you feel something and sense something, get really quiet. Get really quiet. That's how I listened over and over and over again. As I got really quiet, I got underneath the anxiety, underneath the confusion and fear, and I just got quiet and I listened to my essence. I said, what's going on here? What needs to change? And the answers that I got over and over again was actually the feeling like there was sunshine in my heart. That was how my intuition spoke to me, is that there was like sunshine in my heart over and over again. And I was like, I don't know what that is or what it means, but yes, I will follow you. I will commit to you. I will devote to you, because wow, that's really beautiful. And I just kind of trusted the messages that I was getting, because when working with the felt sense, when working with spirit, when working with our intuition, our hearts, and our body and our feelings, it doesn't always make sense. And it often, like, our unconscious and our primal self speaks through feelings and senses, intuition, colors, sounds, smells, images. So you have to attune yourself to another language when you're doing shadow work, when you're doing light work, when you're stepping into your power and desiring to be fully devoted to who you are and your desires and the big life that you want for yourself. If you want to be bigger than what is happening, then you have to create a language to understand something new. You have to build a language with your spirit, with your heart, with your emotions, and listen in a new way. Listen through your breath, listen through sounds and sensations and colors and emotions and song and the feeling of the wind blowing on your face and the smell of jasmine in the air. And from that space of listening, once you've heard, once you've heard, my loves, once you've heard, bitch, you gotta do something. You know, that builds trust. It builds trust and safety inside of you. And like I said, it doesn't have to be big right away. It can be small. I remember just going to the store and buying myself flowers as a way to tell my heart that I hear it. I love it. I'm here. I'm listening. I've got you. I got you. So, all this to say, just, life has mystery. Life has magic. Like, I truly am in awe of the ways that I have gotten to love myself and how that has allowed me to be a better person because I get to be the person that I have been fucking waiting for and have always been, but was so stuck in that loop of needing validation from others and needing other people to accept and love me first in order to choose myself and accept myself. So now that I have touched those places and loved and accepted my scariest parts and my ugliest parts, I now get to show the fuck up and say no to anything that is not in alignment for me and explore life and play from that energy and that state of like, fuck that. No, I have my back and you know, I'm going to be messy. I'm going to be imperfect. And I welcome all to come and teach me, but I do not welcome those who will not respect me and be willing to love me and see me and meet me. Like, I am no longer willing to let people in my inner circle that don't have my highest interest at mind. And even if they do, that doesn't mean that we're meant for each other. Like, there are so many people on this planet that actually do have my best interest in mind, but that doesn't mean that we still work, and that's okay. And for the first time, I'm allowing it to be okay. And I'm also allowing, dissonance. It doesn't, yeah, it's just this balance between the shadow and the light that I have to say is quite special, that dance. So I cannot wait for what's next. Bring it on. And ah, the things that I know now, I get to help my clients with. The things that I know now about heartbreak and grief and pain and suffering and love and beauty and pleasure, oof, fuck yeah, bring it on. I I I cannot wait to keep sharing this. It has already been so massive and transformational to see my clients that have come in this last year that I now get to share the codes of wisdom that I have downloaded and anchored into my bones. Ancestral healing, like death and birth, heartbreak and grief, pain and loss, joy and power and bigness. Like, those are all codes that I now get to share from a space of like complete unshaming and permission and safety, integrating and healing in pussy, in womb, in heart, in mind, in spirit. Like, it is like a whole elixir of love and beauty, and it just is going to keep coming from here because I'm stepping into big medicine with the earth. I am stepping into big medicine with myself and my body, and I can't wait to see you all out there along for the ride. And I'm just sending you so many blessings wherever you are on that journey, Whether you're just beginning to start to listen to your heart and your soul, you're just beginning to trust yourself, or you're in the middle of it, you're in the fire, you're being thrown all over the place. If you are in the middle of it, if you are in the fire, or being pummeled by waves, please reach out to me. Please. We are not meant to do this alone. This is what I do. This is my passion and my purpose. This is my medicine. So please reach out. You do not have to do that alone. I've got you. I've got your back. You do not have to be in the fire or be pummeled by the waves by yourself. You do not have to drown. So if you are in that stage, please reach out and book some sessions with me. Book my long-term packages. That's what they're there for. Or maybe you're on the other side where you're celebrating and you're stepping more into your pleasure and your joy and you're getting curious with what you want. And if that's where you are as well, also reach out to me, because this is so fun. I love, love getting to support all stages. They're just so incredible. And it is really important that you go in order. You cannot skip these stages. And if you try to, you're just going to be thrown back. You have to start with curiosity. You have to start with just feeling and sensing and waking up to yourself. And you have to go into the fire. And then after that, step into the joy and the pleasure and love and fill up the space that you just made with what you deeply desire. You've just made a beautiful hardwood floor, and now you're putting all the furniture you want on it. Okay. Oh, so much love to you. Happy anniversary to me. Happy I made it anniversary to me. I made it through the longest fucking winter of my life. And I'm not just talking about winter season that we just had, but also internal winter for an entire year. Oof. So happy birthday to me. Happy celebration. And I'm just sending you so much love and courage. And I hope that this can be a beacon of courage and light for you, no matter where you are on your journey, or, just an offering to whoever needed to hear this, and an offering to myself and the inner child in everybody that so deeply deserves to be accepted and held and loved in all parts of themselves, all the ways that you might not have had a gritty childhood, you might have had so much brokenness. You deserve to be held and loved in all of you, and have have reparation, have the pieces picked up again and repaired, and your essence restored so you can play. Thank you for being here with me always. I'm so grateful. Sending you so much love and blessings on your journey. And if you want to book some time with me, you can go to my website or come find me at all of my live offerings. Oof, they are so potent and yummy. Come find me at any of my live offerings, or if you want to get a group together to have me come and facilitate, I am currently offering, if people get a group together and hire me, I will come and facilitate your group, either in Sacred Rage or a grief ceremony or a pussy consciousness ceremony for pussy bodied and pussy energy humans. Those are my offerings, or if you want me to come and facilitate some of your friends and group on a private ritual. So much love to you.